Hey YouTube, this is Tim here doing my updated Master deck profile for the November 9th ban list. And this deck profile is more geared towards battling against Kozmos, Majespecters, and Pendulums, Pendulum Peformages. So with those three decks in mind, this is what I came up with, and I believe this is much more optimal than my other builds. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. So we run the 3 mandatory Shadow Mists, the 2 Bowmans, we run 3 Goblinbergs, and the 1 Goldfish. I run the 4 spamming monsters basically to replace the Rhoda hit. Since Goblinbergs and the Goldfish are harder to search out, you need to max these out kind of to cope with the Rhoda hit, because Shadow Mist is always going to be the easier one to get with the E-calls, so you want to maximize your Goblinbergs and maybe run a Goldfish if you want. So then we run 2 Summoner Monks, and that rounds up the monster lineup with 11 monsters. So for the spells, we run the 3 A Hero Lives, the 1 Rhoda, 2 E-calls. And so if you go over the ratio, I basically have 5 ways of spamming Mist from the deck, which is the 3 Hero Lives, the 2 Monks. I have 6 ways of getting the Mist to hand, which includes the Rhoda, the E-calls, and the Shadow Mist themselves. And then I've got 5 ways of getting to my Goblinbergs or Tin Goldfish, which is the 4 monsters themselves, and then the Rhoda to search out the Goblinbergs. So it's basically a ratio of 5 ways to get the spamming monsters, 6 ways to get the Mist, and then 5 ways to spam the Mist from the deck. So I think that's a very good ratio to run. So now for the other spells, we run 3 Mass Changes, 2 Mass Charges. I cut this down to 2 because I'm running the Instant Fusion engine now. Before I wasn't a big fan of the Instant Fusion, but I believe that the Instant Fusion does bring a lot to the table because it gives your Durandal an extra material oftentimes, and you can go into Durandal Dark Law first turn a lot more consistently, and that really impacts your duels more than I thought. So I'm going to run 3 Instant Fusions. And it's this is kind of the build that I was running with those dual commentaries, so you can kind of see how the Instant Fusions helped contribute. So for the other trap lineup, we run 3 calls. I keep switching in and out between 1 or 2 Oasises because I want to trigger the Shadow Mist more consistently, but I think 3 calls is fine because I'm running a lot of recovery cards like Instant Fusions, Mass Charges, and Called Haunted, so I think 3 will be fine. And then for the defensive lineup, we run Vanities, Warning, Bottomless, 3 Trap Tricks, Trap Hole Nightmares. Now these are basically replacements for Fiendish Chains, because Fiendish Chain this format is just not the way to go. With Kozmos and Majespecters being the top dogs in this format, any targeting effect is not going to be optimal against them, so you definitely want to switch out your Fiendish Chains for Trap Tricks, Trap Hole Nightmares, and Void Trap Holes. In my other build, I do run Void Trap Holes along with the Trap Tricks, Trap Hole, but this is just, I've got a lot of different variants of Masked Heroes, but this is what I have for this one. We run 2 Memory Losses. This is to deal against, again, non-targeting monster effect negation. So whenever they summon like Dark Destroyer or even a Majespecter, if they summon it in attack, you negate that effect and you switch it to defense. So if they try to run you over with Dark Destroyer by using its effect, you're just going to make him go to defense and negate its effect. So Dark Law can just run it over. Because I believe Dark Destroyer has like 1800 defense. Basically, your Dark Law would be able to run over the Dark Destroyer. And then you got double Mirror Force to deal against Kozmos, because they're very powerful right now. So you want to have the Mirror Forces to deal with them. And so if you have Mirror Forces with an effect negation, a non-targeting effect negation, you pretty much have answers to any spaceship that they summon. So if they summon the Dark Destroyer, you simply negate his effect, switch it to defense, or you just blow it up and Dark Law would just banish it. If they try to summon a Forerunner, you just mirror force it. So that's why I run that lineup. And then interesting tech, I run 2 safe zones to protect the Dark Law. I decided to cut the Forbidden Lances because against Majespecters, well, against Majespecters, Lance is actually good to main, but against Kozmos and the Pendulums, Lance is largely dead most of the time. So I feel like safe zone is a lot better, because if they try to Dark Hole or Raigeki, it's better to safe zone versus lancing your Dark Law. And it's very helpful against their Dark Destroyer plays. So if they try to blow up your Dark Law, chain safe zone, save it. The important thing is to just have Dark Law stay up on the field, and then you just try to rank 4 and beat over their Dark Destroyer with Excalibur or something like that. So I feel like safe zone is pretty neat tech right now. Still testing it out to see how good it is, because most Kozmos players I see don't really play the Slip Riders that much, or at least not as many copies as they used to, since, you know, Dark Destroyer is out. But if they were to summon the Slip Rider, you don't even need to activate this right away. So it's not like it's a problem. And if they were try to MST it or Slip Rider, then you can just chain it and blow up their monster. Okay, so that rounds up the main deck. Now for the extra deck, we run 3 Dark Laws. I still believe in running 3 because he's just, well, my build focuses on re-establishing Dark Law in case they, you know, destroy with Raigeki or whatever. I always want ways to just get back into another one, and I have used all 3 in duels plenty of times, so I feel like 3 is good. Then I run the 1 Anki Acid, and we run 2 Nordens. And don't worry, by running 2 Nordens with 3 instant fusions, you're rarely ever gonna get the 3rd instant fusion in a duel. So just running 2 is fine. You don't need to run 3. And then we run for the rank 4s. We run Dweller, Castell, Blade Armor, Excalibur, and this should be a Daigusto Emerald, but I don't have a Daigusto Emerald right now, so it's just going to be a Deltaros to act as a Ptolemaeus material, or in some cases it can just summon it by itself. So then we run the Ptolemaeus Engine, Ptolemaeus, Diamond, and Durandal. So with the instant fusion, you can make Durandal a lot more consistent. Not only that, you can, with the instant fusion, you oftentimes will get at least 2 to 3 materials on Durandal. And if you get 2 to 3 materials, you can just keep reshuffling your opponent's hand and just banish more cards with Dark Law. So it's a really good combo. If you open up first turn Durandal Dark Law, you can essentially make your opponent start with only 4 cards in their hands. Because end phase, you just attach Ptolemaeus with Diamond, and then during that same end phase, you can just exceed over into Durandal, and then still in the end phase, activate Durandal's effect, make them reshuffle, so they'll start with 4 cards, and then when they draw, they'll have 5, and then you activate Durandal again to basically, for that turn, you get rid of another card, so they would start with 4 cards. So it's really powerful. I feel like the instant fusion really helps make that kind of combo more consistent. So it's a really good power play. So for the side deck, we run triple MSTs against, you know, Floodgates, Royal Decree, things like that. We run 3 Forbidden Lance in the side because I don't want... These are still good against Majespecters and against random back row decks like Burning Abyss, the Tellers, if you still run into them. Then I run 1 Fairy Wind. I would try to run 2, but I just didn't have space, and I feel like MST is fine. And Fairy Wind is just mainly against Pendulum decks, but so far when I tested against Peformage Pendulum decks, like I rarely lose to them because Dark Law is just too powerful against them. Like I don't even need to summon Acid most of the time against them because Dark Law just screws up their pendulums. They can't try to blow up their own scales to, you know, keep adding more pendulums and have pendulums in their extra deck. That's the reason why they blow up their own scales, is to pendulum back from their extra deck. But if Dark Law's on the field, then they're not going to be able to do that. So I feel Dark Law is just already making that matchup a lot easier, so I don't need to side in multiple Fairy Winds. So we side in the third Mirror Force against the Kozmos, two Trapstones against back row heavy decks like Majespecters and Satellars and BA. Then we side 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors for the Kozmos. I know that they now have dark Cosmo monsters, but majority of the time they're still going to have to rely on their farm girls, their strawmans, and the Cosmo Good Witch to bring out their spaceships. The only one that isn't a light that tries to bring out their spaceships is the 1900 beater one. So this still is very effective against them. And then 3 Iron Walls to obviously deal with Kozmos. So with these sided in and with a lot of battle traps, you can pretty much guarantee yourself to have a great matchup against them. So I feel like this is a good side against those 3 meta decks. Against Infernoids, I do sometimes have a problem against them, surprisingly enough, because Infernoids, they can just try to beat over the Dark Law, and sometimes they get set up before you do, and it could be a problem. So Iron Wall still helps against that matchup, and an Iron Wall with Diamond is really good because they often side in breakthrough skills. So when they try to use a breakthrough skill in the grave, they can't negate Diamond with Iron Wall on the field, because Iron Wall prevents them from banishing breakthrough skill, and then they can't mill with Diamond on the field. So that's a pretty good lockdown. If you have Diamond and Iron Wall against Infernoids, it's really good. So yeah, that's my deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed that list. Let me know how it works out for you guys if you find similar success. And yeah, just leave some comments in the section below and let me know how you guys do. Thanks.